transforming lives as we love, serve, and remember who we are.
One heart, one mind,
one soul at a time.
Hello, we are Soul Light Connection. We are the core of the music ministry here at Spiritual Life Center. We're so glad that you've chosen to be with us today. And we want you to know your soul is welcome here.
That's right, you're in the right place at the right time, just where you are meant to be. Let's all sing about it. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh my soul is welcome. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 Your soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Good morning, and welcome to the Spiritual Life Center experience that we bring to you wherever you might be on the planet today. We're grateful for your presence as we remind one another we are all interconnected. We are all one in the Spirit. We have people across the planet who view our programs. So each week I acknowledge at least one of the places outside the United States where people tune in to whatever our service happens to be. And today, I'd like to acknowledge our friends in Ireland. Thank you for connecting with us, and know that you are blessed and a magnificent blessing to our planet. Right now, let's take a few moments to commune with the Spirit of the living God, that pure presence. And the way that we connect with this presence obviously is through prayer, as we affirm the realization of our oneness with everyone across the planet, as well as the Spirit of the living God itself. So let's turn within right now. Divine Presence, we are reminded that we live and move and have our very beingness in something that is beyond words, but is so very real. We come under this government and its guidance. We allow it to have its way with us, so that every thought that we have, every word that we speak, every action that we take is in alignment with the qualities of this all-knowing, everywhere present presence. And as we resonate with this presence in our hearts and in our minds, we anchor on earth all of these qualities in our life. And we can say without a doubt that when you see me, you see the presence that sent me. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Well, we're grateful to be with you this morning. We're grateful for the energy of divine and perfect love that is our true identity and is our birthright. And we seek to carry out the essence of who we are at Spiritual Life Center by moving through this as our mission. We transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we do so as we put into practice these 5 basic unity principles that we lean on, depend on, and reflects our philosophy. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. And finally, we must take action. I've been pointing out each week that we are participating in the Season for Nonviolence, which takes place every year between January 30th and April 4th. And as a community, we join other communities around the world, as well as like-minded organizations and individuals in this Season for Nonviolence. This event is inspired by the memorial anniversaries of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., and thus the dates of January 30th and April 4th that marks the dates of their death. The purpose of the Season for Nonviolence is to create an awareness of nonviolent principles, as well as practices, as a powerful way to heal, to transform, and empower our lives and our communities. And we seek to demonstrate that every person can move the world in the direction of peace through their daily nonviolent choice and action. So each week during the Season for Nonviolence, a person from Spiritual Life Center does a reading on a principle that supports the purpose of this event. And today our reading is from the director of our music team, our music ministry, Paula Mandella. Welcome, Paula.
Today, I use words that lift and inspire others. As I go about the activities of my day, I take the opportunity to bless each person I meet. I know that the words I use can have a powerful influence on others, so I choose my words with love and wisdom. I honor the sacredness of each blessed being I meet on this path, so that I become an instrument of God's love and joy. I realize the importance of my words when I compare them to the ripples a small pebble makes when it is tossed into a pond. In just this way, my words move into the world in ever-expanding circles, blessing each one they touch. My words are a beautiful symphony that bring peace to everyone I meet. I choose words that are a soothing balm to all my spiritual brothers and sisters. Thank you, God, for the gift of words that uplift and inspire everyone I encounter. This reading is an elegant affirmation of the power of positive, kind words and the effect they can have on those who hear them. As a musician, I love affirming that my words are a beautiful symphony. It becomes particularly significant in my work as a songwriter and music director of a spiritual community, where we seek to inspire, empower, and uplift everyone through our music and message. It is a lofty goal, however, to maintain that level of elegance on a daily basis with every encounter we experience. I imagine that I speak for most of us when I say that there have been numerous occasions when regret for words I've spoken reverberate in my head long after I've released them into the atmosphere. the ripple effect can go both in negative and positive directions in this world of duality. Sometimes a string of words we've spoken may not even mean much to us, but they could stick with someone else for a lifetime. I once read a series of books about the life of a woman named Lynn Andrews, whose passion for collecting Native American art led her to become the apprentice of 2 Native elder women in Manitoba, Canada. At one point, her mentors assisted her in a shamanic journey into her own body to attempt to discover the reason for a chronic, unexplained pain in her abdomen. In this altered state, her visionary awareness became focused on a black arrowhead embedded in the location of her pain. She dislodged the arrow, and after returning to her normal state of consciousness, she recognized that this arrow represented very hurtful words that were spoken to her when she was younger. Many years later, I was in the company of a relatively new father and his toddler son. In an offhand manner, reacting to something his son did, this new father called his son a little jerk. I happened to be looking at the boy when those words were spoken, and I observed his small body literally jerk as though he had been struck by something physical. Those 2 experiences became interconnected in my heart and come to mind every time I'm tempted to spew some hurtful language, even when it comes to directing a few choice words towards another driver on the road who will never actually hear the words I speak. As I continue to learn and understand the awesome power of our thoughts and words, I choose to guard them more closely, because through them, we can create our own weaknesses and our own strengths. We can always replace negative with positive in our own hearts. Words move hearts, and hearts move limbs, and in this way, we create endless opportunities to show up as a positive force in our world. I'd like to leave you with just a few more words by the famous poet, Anonymous. Words are seeds that do more than blow around. They land in our hearts and not the ground. Be careful what you plant and careful what you say. You might have to eat what you planted one day. Today, I plant seeds of abundant joy on all your days. Peace and blessings.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Deborah Phillips, and here's what's happening at SLC. This week on Discovering Spirit Within, I go solo to chat about finding your voice. I recently had a personal experience that showed me that finding your voice is not a one-size-fits-all, one-time deal, but a process. And it got me to thinking about this whole idea very differently. Join me as I unpack what finding your voice might mean for you. Discovering Spirit Within premieres each Wednesday on your favorite podcast app. If you are new to SLC, we invite you to our new member orientation. In this Zoom meeting, you will meet Reverend James Trapp, our senior minister, and Sally Sion, who is a board trustee. This is your opportunity to ask questions about SLC, and the answers to which may help you decide to become a community member. You can find all of the details on our website. We will soon be electing new Board of Trustee members. Do you hear the call? We will be talking more about this in the coming weeks. However, if you go to our website, you can learn more about what it means to serve on the SLC Board of Trustees and even fill out an online application. We love to greet our newcomers. And while we cannot greet you in person, we want you to know that we are very happy that you are with us today as you walk your unique path. You can learn more about us by going to slcworld.org/connect. When you fill out the online card, you can choose to receive our weekly message and find opportunities for connecting with our prayer chaplains and our online small groups. You can also ask to be notified of greater ways to connect with us as we expand our online community. And speaking of connecting, you can find details for all of the happenings at SLC by simply going to our website, slcworld.org. Thank you for joining us today. We are honored to be with you in spirit.
Can you feel the spirit? Can you feel the love? I want you to lend your voice and sing along now. I feel the spirit moving in me. I feel the spirit moving in me. Can you feel it? I feel the spirit moving in me. Yes, I do. I feel the spirit moving in me. I feel the love. Do you feel the love? I feel the love moving in me. I feel the love moving in me. Yes, I do. I feel the love moving in me. I feel the love moving in me. I feel the presence. I feel the presence moving in me. Right in me. I feel the presence. It's a movement in me. I feel the presence moving in me. Yes, I do. I feel the presence moving in me. And I feel the peace. I feel the peace moving in me. I feel the peace moving in me. And I feel the peace moving in me. Yes, I do. I feel the peace moving in me. And I feel the vision. I feel the vision moving in me. 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 I feel the spirit. Come on. I feel the spirit moving in me. I feel the spirit moving in me. Yes, it is. I feel the spirit moving in me. And I feel the spirit moving in me. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We believe there is tremendous power in the spoken word. So if it feels comfortable for you, please speak aloud our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. blessing to the world.
As we move into this quiet time, take a breath. Allow your shoulders to drop. Release any tension. For your next 3 breaths, simply watch your body breathe and notice how you relax with each exhalation. Relax your thoughts into the center of your chest and bring focus to your spiritual heart center as you breathe. And allow yourself to drift into a light daydream. You are standing in front of a tall green hedge, and it goes as far as you can see in both directions. Looking more closely, you see a small opening in the hedge. And so you step through the opening onto a hedge-lined path, paved in polished stones of every color. You have stepped into a maze. Not what you were expecting, but you step forward with full confidence, slowly following the path. Shortly, you take a wrong turn into a dead end. Turning back, you look right and left, trying to figure out the right direction. You jump up and down, trying to see over the hedge. And now you try to push the branches apart so you can just go through to the other side. Frustrated, you finally stop and become quiet. And then you realize this is all you need to do. Stop and ask for guidance through the maze. So you become still. You watch. You listen. Now the stones beneath your feet begin to glow, colors dancing along the path in a new direction. You follow the path until the colors fade, and then you stop. Watch and listen until the path lights up again to lead you on. One more turn and you reach the center of the maze. It is filled with a rainbow of light, swirling and dancing, inviting you in. The light enters your body, merging with every atom, every cell, until you too become sparkling, dancing light. In this state, you know everything that you need to know. All answers are here now. All you have to do is stop, watch, listen. Focus now on your heart's desire and say, show me the place. Show me the way. Then listen in the silence. Your body begins to coalesce into your dream body. The hedges part, showing you a path straight through and across the maze, taking you back to this world. As you settle into your body, an inner voice whispers, "Oh, my beloved, grasping and striving will only delay your progress. Wisdom and knowing are within you, a part of you. You only need to be still and know, and all is revealed. Remember this, always."
like to open my heart and give myself to you. The perfect summer's day, sorry I lost my way. All of the secrets deep in rooms hidden from view. All of the lies I saw and thought they were the truth. I see I was wrong. Now I open my eyes and I see the love that's there. Open my heart and I feel you resting there. Open my mind, give me something I can share. Open my love, let it shine on all despair. Teach me to be a child. Walk me the ways of the wild. Give me a dream of dreaming, crystal blue and gold. Give me a seeker's wings. Tell me the soul of all things. Give me an open heart and watch the sky unfold. Every illusion I would gladly give away if you just open my eyes and I see you standing there. Open my heart and I feel you resting there. Open my mind, give me something I can share. Open my love, let it shine. Let it shine. Open my eyes, open my eyes. Open my heart, open my heart. Open my mind, open my mind. Open my love, open my love. Open my
Ann Roach, thank you for your musicality and for that song of bliss. You know, we've all heard the saying, follow your bliss. But perhaps a more accurate idea is to be open to our bliss or perfect our happiness. That openness happens when we are spiritually humble. And humble means to be teachable. You know, in that song Ann just blessed us with, it says, teach me to be a child. Give me a seeker's wings. Tell me the soul of things. Open my eyes. As I thought about that, I thought about a Bible story. And in this story, there was a man who was a Pharisee during Jesus' time. He was the ruler of men. And he was a big deal. You know, his name was Nicodemus. But despite being a big deal, at least others who thought he was, Nicodemus lacked the understanding of spiritual things, because he did not know that spiritual things must be spiritually discerned. Anyway, Nicodemus snuck out of the middle of the night to see the master teacher, Jesus the Christ, the model of our possibilities, because Jesus was manifesting something special as evidenced by the wonderful things that were happening around him as well as to his followers. And Nicodemus wanted to know what the heck was going on. All of those folks around him were living their bliss. Jesus was living his bliss, so it appeared to him. Now, Nicodemus had plenty of what we would call intellectual knowledge, but he had no spiritual understanding beyond that. So he came to see Jesus by night. And metaphysically, metaphorically, means that he was in spiritual darkness. Nicodemus had studied all the scriptures and other similar work. But spiritual demonstrations that Jesus and his disciples were having were not happening in his life. So Nicodemus, after observing all of this, said to himself, this guy must know something. So he snuck out in the middle of the night, because he didn't want anyone to know, where he was going and what he was doing, that he was going to see this man, because after all, people thought he, Nicodemus, that is, knew everything already, had everything. So he came to Jesus, and he asked him in so many words, what's the deal? And the master teacher responded that except you be born again, you cannot see the kingdom of God. He said, unless you be born of the water and the Spirit, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. You won't experience that bliss, that oneness with the presence. And he was saying in substance, unless there's a radical shift in your perception, unless there's a movement in consciousness, you will not understand what I'm talking about here. Because as I said, he was saying to him, spiritual things can only be determined or discerned and understood from a spiritual perspective. He was reminding him that spiritual understanding comes without us having to learn it. Spiritual understanding comes through intuition. It happens through inspiration. You're familiar with the story, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, when Jesus asked his disciples, who do the people around town say I am? And they gave a number of answers based upon the surface perception of men and women, of humankind. And they were saying he was the reincarnation of one person or another. And of course he asked Peter, who do you say I am? Not anyone else, but what's coming up for you? And Peter uttered Jesus' true identity as a divine presence. And that answer was not based upon reasoning, but based upon intuition. And Jesus responded to him that flesh and blood did not reveal this to you. Your intellect did not reveal this to you, but the Spirit of the living God within you and around you did. Peter didn't come from this intellectual understanding to realize this. Because we must understand that no matter how much we know, no matter how much we read, intellectual knowledge is simply a forerunner of spiritual understanding. It's the way that we gather the facts. And the facts don't necessarily reveal the inner meaning of what we're trying to convey and understand. Sometimes you may know people who can quote scriptures and spiritual sayings all day long. And they may do all the outer things, but it has no inner meaning or spiritual power. The only true spiritual understanding can do that. There was a young man who had become an outstanding yoga instructor. He was an exceptional practitioner who can bend himself into intricate pretzels and all different kinds of shapes that I can't imagine anyone can do, but he did. He also had the most perfect and clean diet you can possibly imagine. And he appeared in his life to do every single thing right, to live a highly evolved life. But one day he came to see a minister. And the reason that he came to see him was that despite having and living an immaculate life, the young man was manifesting cancer. And the young yoga prodigy said he couldn't understand it, since everything he did was such a pure and a high level. And as he spoke with that minister, that spiritual teacher, and as they prayed together, the young man had a spiritual insight. He realized he had forgotten the presence. He had forgotten the source. He had forgotten the presence of God. He had perfected his spiritual practice. He had perfected his diet. That was a check. He had done all of the outer work. Check. He had the intellectual knowledge. Still, there was no opening for the emergence of new awareness in his consciousness. He knew it all, at least he thought so. He studied everything. He was sure that he was right about all that he was doing. Nevertheless, this disease was raging through his body. And shortly afterwards, after a great deal of self-reflection, he began to see where he made his mistake. He realized his mistake that at one time he had opened up to where he was at the beginning of his practice. He decided to say, let me go back to the beginning. What got me in here in the first place? What inspired me? What made me feel that I was at home and doing what I was doing? And as he began to get into that space, he remembered he was very childlike. He was available. He was accessible. He was awestruck. And he was in wonder when he first started out. And he began to recall there was something continually emerging in him that had nothing to do with his vast knowledge or what he had learned or what he had been taught, but something he caught that was not of his own doing. He didn't make that happen. And he realized he had forgotten about all of that. He had gotten into that space where he stopped trying to make something happen. He decided to go back to that beginning, not trying to make something happen. He stopped trying to rely on his own surface understanding. And after he had done this for a while, he returned to the doctors for a checkup. And lo and behold, his disease had dissolved. Ultimately, the illness disappeared. And he attributed it to his humility, his ability to be devotional, his ability to be aware and open and receptive. He recognized that he did not know everything. And he was here to allow something to emerge in his awareness. When that allowance takes place, when we allow that to take place in our life, something beyond our human understanding breaks through. Sometimes you can't put it in words, but you can catch it. You know it. And when you know it, you can't tell anyone else anything. Even if you try, they won't understand. You know, I relate to my story when I was going through my own dark night of the soul, and I was going through personal rehab from drugs and alcohol, and I was coming to my apartment that day. And I had entered a state of what I would call probably absolute surrender. I don't know what was happening at the time. I had just forgiven myself for all the things I had done in my life. And something had overcome me. And in that moment, everything around me collapsed into a sea of oneness. I began to see beyond appearances. And I saw the interconnectedness of everything that was beyond words that I could actually explain to another person. But I tried to tell him anyway. I was telling him in so many different words that, I had seen the presence of God. I saw God. I know God. And folks were looking at me and said, okay, that sounds interesting. Let me tell you about my life. You know, the reality was I was trying to reveal God to someone else. I was trying to reveal the invisible force to something to convey to another person. The fact of the matter is, we cannot reveal God to another person. You know, Emily Cady, in her book, Lessons in Truth, that I've been basing some of these lessons on, says on page 100, if you've gotten that spiritual understanding to some degree, we may be able to give some pointers on how to seek and find that presence that is in each and every one of us. But as the scriptural reference reminds us in John, the 3rd chapter and the 8th verse, spiritual understanding is like the wind that blows where it chooses, and you hear it and the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of that spiritual something. I use the word something as another word for God. God is something. God is that thing that touches us, that lets us know about something that without us really having any process of reasoning. The awareness of this something, this new birth, takes place in the silence. It takes place in the invisible. When you and I catch it, people can feel it. They can sense something is radiating from that person. Case in point, there was a magnificent spiritual conference. And the organizers of that conference wanted to begin and end the conference with the reading of the 23rd Psalm. And so they asked a young, excited minister to kick off the conference by reading the 23rd Psalm, and he did so. And he was articulate. He was fluent. Oh, he knew it by heart. He memorized it. And he said, you know, the Lord is my shepherd. And he went through the whole psalm. And when he finished reading, there was a light applause from the audience. You know, he felt kind of good about himself. And the conference went on. At the end of the conference, they called an elder statesman to come out and close out the conference with the 23rd Psalm. And he got up there on the podium, the lectern, and he was kind of slow, and he had to adjust his glasses, and he could hardly see the words in the Bible. He stumbled over a few words, and he began the psalm. And he said, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He articulated through the psalm. And as he read through the psalm, you could feel a hush going through the audience. People began to cry. People were healed. He released burdens of guilt and doubt and worry from individuals. A transformation had gone through the room. And later on, the young minister went up to the elder minister and said, I don't quite understand. When I recited the psalm, I was fluent. I was articulate. I knew it by heart. And I think people liked it. There was some applause at the end, but when you did it, there was not a dry eye in the house. What was the difference? The elderly man looked at the youngster and said, you knew the psalm, but I know the shepherd. He didn't just have an intellectual perception of truth. He knew the truth. Understand there's a difference between knowing about the truth and knowing it. He knew that we are not here to intellectualize the spirit, but to spiritualize the intellect. That seasoned gentleman had a deep spiritual understanding. And anyone who has attuned spiritual understanding sees things from a different perspective. He or she does not give power to sickness. They don't give power or fear death. Rather, they're one who has a deep and abiding understanding spiritually. And they recognize the purpose of life is to discover the divinity within, to know and live from their oneness with the Spirit of the living God. You know, one of the first steps to spiritual understanding is a strong desire for it. You got to want it. You got to want it more than anything else. You know, in the Hebrew Bible, there's a story about King Solomon. And he was at the beginning of his reign, of his kingdom, and Solomon had a dream. And in his dream, the presence, the consciousness of the force or God, whatever you want to call it, showed up. And this presence said to Solomon, "Ask what I should give you." And Solomon said, "Give me understanding. Give me spiritual understanding." And it pleased the presence that Solomon asked for this. And according to the story, the presence simply said, because you asked for an understanding mind, you asked for an understanding heart. You didn't ask to live a long time or for lots of money or to get rid of your enemies. The presence said, I will give you a wise and discerning mind. You get a mind that no one has ever had before or anyone will have after you. And on top of that, I will give you what you haven't asked for. I will give you abundance and honor for all your life, like no other king has ever had. Now, when we first consciously seek spiritual understanding, we don't attain it all at once. We practice the spiritual teachings. We do the external things like loving our enemies, doing good to others. We practice our forgiveness. We think positive, uplifting thoughts. These are, as Emily Cady points out, the preliminary steps and stepping stones to genuine spiritual understanding. Or to put it in another way, it's like we can ride the horse to the castle, but at some point we must get off and go inside. And we don't do it ourselves. We do the external metaphysical and spiritual work. Then at some point we let go, we let God, and let that spiritual something take over our life. When we seek this spiritual understanding, we realize it's not something that can be taught. It can only be caught. We catch it. As Ann sang in that opening song, we're asking Spirit to give us an open heart. And when our heart opens, we give away every illusion. Then we watch the sky unfold and we catch the overflow of this abundant and loving and supportive universe. And we then remember why we are here. We're not here just to have fun. Fun is a good thing. We need that. We're here to reveal the presence of God, and we have fun along the way. We're here not just to make money. We're here to reveal the presence of God, and we make money along the way. We're here not just to accumulate and acquire. We're here to discover the presence of God, and we discover we get what we want anyway. Understand what is first. Seek ye first the kingdom. We have to see it. We have to activate it. We have to practice it. We have to live it. We have to let it take us over. And when we put attention there, our entire life experience, whatever it is that we're seeking or going through, whether it's making money, right relationships, healing the body temple, all that stuff we're working on sometimes so hard will suddenly become second nature. And we'll simply put our attention on God, living the good that we know, practicing the principles until this something takes us over and we begin to accept the higher possibilities in every area of our life. Letting go and letting it flow. And then the life force takes us over. And without any process of intellectual reasoning, we've caught that spiritual understanding. And you and I will look up one day and we'll discover that we're surrounded by the loving presence. And we have more than enough, and everything is working together for our individual and collective good. And we're not thinking about trying to make it happen. We're simply making it welcome. We're creating the conditions for it to be inevitable and staying out of the way of it happening, because this is the way of the Spirit of the living God. You and I are here just to accept it. We're here just to catch it. And we'll see life unfold in a most magnificent way. And so it is. And so we let it be. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you for being part of our service today, in which we were reminded that spiritual understanding is an understanding that can only be attained through inspiration and not the limits of our intellect. Next Sunday, my talk is The Secret Place, Finding Your Pace. And I will address how to find that mystical contact with Spirit and how it is a process and not a one-time event. Also remember, you can join us for a virtual courtyard chat on Zoom at 10:15 a.m. Just click the virtual chat link in the description below. Now, right now is your opportunity to help Spiritual Life Center continue to provide these spiritual programs and experiences that are for you or anyone else that joins us, not just on Sunday for our experience, but also our weekly podcast, our prayer and meditation classes, as well as other transformational experiences that take place throughout the week. So I invite you to support Spiritual Life Center with your gift, with your donation, and to give what you can. It makes a tremendous difference and is highly appreciated. You can give by texting SLC Love to 44321. That's SLC Love to 44321. Or you can go to our website, slcworld.org, go to the Donate tab, and give in other ways, including by mail. And now I invite you to join as we affirm our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Took a little walk after midnight. Nobody else was around. Didn't go far, I just needed the stars to shine on me. Help me see, catch on. When will we all catch on? To the glory of love, tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains if we just catch on. for. Minds can move mountains. Yes, they can. Minds can move mountains if we just catch on. Catch on. Love will lead the way. Love will lead the way. Love will lead the way. Catch on. Oh. Ooh-bah-ooh-bah-ooh. Come on, take it to the people. Shine on me, help me see, just catch on, and don't take too long. Open up and show your love, come on, show your love, come on, show your love. Oh yeah, oh, oh. Shine on me, help me see, tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains, yes they can. Minds can move mountains, ooh, yes they can. Minds can move mountains if you just catch on. Just catch on, catch on, catch on. Ooh.
And now, let us join together and say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well.